So let's see. We're up to Reish Lamed Beis, bottom of the page, paragraph starting with the word Isa. Isa b'midrash. There is a midrash in Rus, Rabbah, chapter Aleph, which says, Rabbi Sha'al Rabbi Betzalel, Ma'odich Siv, Ki zonsa imam, their mother has prostituted herself. Amalo, Emasai Na says Divrei Torah Kezoina. When has the Torah become like a prostitute? Bezman sheba'aleya mevazim oisa, when her masters are degrading her. Ketzad, for example, Hacham Yoshev v'doresh lo tate mishpat. A Torah scholar expounds upon the verse, don't cause to go aside the mishpat. I'm just trying to find the right English word. Don't like miscue. Don't anyway. Don't make the wrong. I can't find the right word here. Don't abuse, sidetrack. Don't cause the laws to go aside. Don't tate mishpat. Tate means to turn aside. The question, I'm trying to find the right English word to capture the meaning here. Though tate mishpat means don't misconstrue the judgment. V'hu mate mishpat, but he himself does misconstrue the law. So this causes the Torah, which is considered to be like a woman wed to the Torah scholars, and causes the Torah to be considered like a prostitute, like a low woman. Why? Because she's abused by those who are wed to her. So we, the Jewish people, are wed to the Torah. The Torah scholars are like the groom. The Torah is like the bride. When the Torah scholars are treating the bride properly, so the bride is elevated and put on the proper pedestal she should be. But when the groom is, God forbid, abusing the Torah, so that causes the Torah to become very lowly. That's the midrash here. It says in the pasuk, Ki zonsa imam, their mother has prostituted themselves, referring here to the Torah has become lowly. The Torah, which is like the mother of the people, the Jewish people, has become made lowly. Furthermore, it says, V'umate mishpat, lo sakir panim, it says, don't show favoritism in the law. V'umakir panim, and he does show favoritism, and therefore doesn't dispense the justice of the judgments of the Torah properly. V'lo sikach sheichad, don't take bribery. Thank you. V'hu lo keach shochad, and he takes bribery. Between what and what? Makir panim is even without shochad. No. V'chen dasha b'seim zichron v'rochen so sage's blessed memory said, v'hoichmas hamiskein bezuya. The pasuk says the wisdom of the poor is disparaged. What does this mean? Ez a hochmas misken bezuya. Zehu shehu oni b'masim toivim. A person who is poor in good deeds. Az hochmasoi bezuya. Yes? Hochmas misken bezuya. I guess what it means is the wisdom of somebody who is poor in good deeds causes that wisdom to be despised. So you can have a Torah scholar who acts in a very bad way and causes the Torah itself to become despised because people say he represents Torah and he's acting in a very bad way, so that Torah must be bad. Chas v'shalom, a great chilul Hashem. He tells people to do good things, but he himself doesn't do them. Then his words are not accepted. Either one, because people are aware that he doesn't practice what he preaches, so they don't take what he preaches because they know he doesn't practice it himself. Or even if they don't know that he doesn't live up to the ideal that he preaches to others, still, there's something metaphysical about his words which are hollow, and therefore don't have the same impact on the person. You say, things that come out of a person's heart, the heartfelt, so they touch other people's hearts. But if the person says something which he himself doesn't keep, so his words are hollow, because his heart's not really in it. And since his words are hollow, they're going to echo off the ears of the one who hears. So either practically or metaphysically, one who doesn't practice what he preaches, his words are not going to be accepted. Therefore, every person should direct his deeds towards heaven. See and contemplate, understand the example that comes from Elisha ben Avuya. Bishvil shelimdo aviv Torah shaloi lishma, l'sof nehepach leminus, because his father taught him to learn Torah with the wrong intention. Ultimately, even though he at one point became a great rabbi, he was turned to become a heretic. Damrina b'Yushalmi Chagiga, we see in the Yushalmi, Maseches Chagiga, Perek Beis, Halacha Aleph, u'b'midrash Keshenimo, when Elisha ben Avuya was circumcised, also aviv suda l'chachamim v'heizmin l'rabbeinu, his father made a meal and he invited there the great rabbis, l'Rebbe Eliezer v'Rebbe Yeshua u'shar chachamim, v'hayoshvim b'seuda u'medabrim divrei Torah. The sages were sitting there at the meal speaking words of Torah, ad shebo ha'esh levivam, until fire encircled them. Bo aviv shel Elisha v'omar lehem, the father of Elisha said to these sages, Rabbi Isai, V'chi b'ansem lisoy v'zabais, did you come here to burn the house? I guess because their learning was so intense, the house became enveloped with fire. And he said, the house is going to burn down. This is what you came for? Amrlo, they said to him, Einuchen, no, that's not the case. Since we're learning Torah, prophets, and writings, v'dvarim me'idim benoiseinu shemehar Sinai nitnu, and the words themselves are giving testimony among ourselves that the words came from Sinai, because there it talks about God giving the Torah in fires of flame. Umitoicha esh nitnu. Don't worry, we're not here to burn your house. It's just all these fires are being generated because of the words of Torah that we are saying, which were given in fire, in flame. He says, since I see that this is the power of Torah, if this son lives, I will give him up entirely to Torah. And since his father said this, not with the right intention, that it should be a glorification of the Torah, but rather he should be glorified through the Torah, the kavod, right, not for the honor of the Torah, but that he should get honor through the Torah, nepach beno leminus. Ultimately his son became a heretic. Nevertheless, still a person should learn, even if he is with the wrong intention. It's lo lishma. Why? Shemitok shelo lishma ba lishma. Because we have a general rule of thumb that if a person is, even if he's learning not with the right intention, his learning will have an effect on him beneficially, so that ultimately he will come to learn the Shema. Why wasn't that the case with Elisha? No, I'm not sure. I guess it's not a guarantee. They were saying is, I can't learn the Shema, so should I be learning at all or not? You should be learning, because it's better to be learning not to be learning at all. In most cases, if you're learning, even if it's not with the right intention, you will get to the right intention. But there might be scenarios where even if you are learning with the wrong intention, you'll get to the wrong place. And that's what Elisha said. This is what the father of Elisha said. Wow, that's cool. You can learn Torah and make fire. I want to be able to do that. I'll have a lot of honor, and my son will get a lot of glory if he's able to learn like that, become encircled with fire. Well, since he was interested in gaining the glory, but not having the learning gain glory for the Torah, yeah, Elisha went off the path. I think we had somewhat of a discussion about this not too long ago, where I said that I had this discussion with my son-in-law, and he said that it was his understanding from the Zohar that learning Shalol Lishma means learning with some Shema. It's just not entirely the Shema. I think, or did he say even more than that?
What's Shema?
The Shema means like I'm just translating it for simplicity's sake with the right intentions, with good intentions.
Oh.
Literally, Lishma means in its name. You're learning Torah for the Torah's sake, as opposed to for your sake. So maybe the point is, if you're learning primarily for your sake, but you do have some degree of intention for the Torah's sake, so then ultimately, even that Torah learning can get you to the right intention. But if you're doing it entirely for yourself and not for the Torah at all, then no. So maybe that, if that's the distinction, then maybe that would be the explanation here. He was learning entirely for the honor and not at all for Hashem. He became a great Torah scholar, but we discussed this not too long ago. How he became known as Acher because he wanted to hire the services of a woman of ill repute on Shabbos, and she said, "You're a rabbi, you can't do that." Here's what we were talking about earlier.
On Shabbat.
It was on Shabbat. You can't. It was on. He was on Shabbat. She said, "You can't do that." So he demonstrated to her that he does whatever he wants, and he desecrated the Sabbath in front of her to demonstrate that he was serious about his proposition. And he said, "You see, I'm no longer him. I'm Acher. I'm someone else. I'm not Elisha ben Avuya." And from that point on, he came to be known as Acher. But he nevertheless had great Torah knowledge, and his Talmid, who was Rabbi Meir, continued to learn Torah from him even after he became a heretic. And his colleagues asked him, "Rabbi Meir, how can you do that? He's a heretic." He says, "He's like a pomegranate. I peel off the what's it called? The peel, the skin, the shell, and I take the fruit. Yeah.
There's some bad seeds.
Maybe there's some bad seeds. No. I guess if they're bad seeds, he throws them out too. But they were going along on Shabbos on another occasion, and Acher said to Rabbi Meir, he says, "Turn back. We're at the end of the Tchum Shabbos. You can't go on any further." It was on Shabbos. He was riding a mule, which was forbidden on Shabbos, and Rabbi Meir was walking alongside him as he was Michal Shabbos and learning Torah from him. Can you imagine that?
So loud.
The Talmid was walking side by side his Rebbe, who was being Michal Shabbos, in order to learn Torah from him. And the Rebbe said to him, "Yes, we've gotten to Tchum Shabbos, turn back." Yeah. Chazor b'cha.
What does that mean? We're getting what?
The Tchum Shabbos is the boundary beyond which you can't travel on Shabbos.
But he was on a mule.
He was on a mule, and he was going to pass the boundary. But he said to Rabbi Meir, his Talmid, who was still a tzaddik, he said, "I'm going on, but this is as far as you can go.
So it's not so bad.
Turn back."
He's telling him the truth.
Yeah, right.
You see how knowledgeable he was. He knew where the end of the Tchum was, but Rabbi Meir didn't.
He was so engrossed in learning from him.
I guess so. So Rabbi Meir says, "Chazor b'cha." You turn back.
It's like
Do tshuva. So he said, "It's too late for me. I've already heard the heavenly voice that everybody has an option to do tshuva except for me, except Acher." So they parted ways. He went on and he passed the Tchum. He crossed the boundary. He went on to the other side, and Rabbi Meir, of course, turned back. Commentators discuss that Rabbi Meir actually could have done tshuva. That Acher could have done tshuva. The heavenly voice was just to test him to see whether he would do tshuva even if he thought it wouldn't help, just to do tshuva for tshuva's sake, and that would have been a way of rectifying his lack of lishma. If he had done tshuva for tshuva's sake, even if he felt he was going to go to Gehinnom, but still, He did the tshuva, meaning if he was willing to do tshuva, even though he felt it wouldn't help at all, so actually it would have helped. That was his test. But he went on to the other side. There are the other explanations as to what was wrong with Rabbi Meir, what rotted that caused him to do this. What's that?
With Elisha ben Abu.
With Elisha. With Acher. Yeah, there are other explanations, but he goes with this explanation.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to discuss the matters of the Torah and the mitzvos. Kol the mitzvos shenitanu lo leMoshe miSinai. All of the mitzvahs were given to Moshe at Sinai. Beferusha nitanu, together with their explanations they were given. Shneimar, it says, V'tana lecho es luchos ha'even. I gave you the tablets of stone, v'ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvah. The Torah, the explanation, and the mitzvah, the actual command to do it. Torah zoi Torah shebichtav. The reference to Torah in the verse referring to the written Torah. V'ha-mitzvah zo perusha. Not like I just explained. The mitzvah is the word, the use of the word mitzvah in the verse is referring to the explanation. V'tzivanu la'asos ha'Torah al pi ha'mitzvah. And therefore we were commanded to do the Torah according to the mitzvah, meaning the explanation. Mitzvah zo hi hanikras Torah Shabal Pei. And this mitzvah is Torah Shabal Pei. That's the oral Torah, the explanation of the written Torah. The Talmud. Kol Torah kusava Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom koidem shemes bichsav yadoi. The entire Torah was written by Moshe before he died with his own hand. V'nosan sefer l'kol shevet v'shevet, and he gave a Torah scroll to each and every tribe. V'sefer echad nistzano ba'aron lo'ed, and one version he put in the Aron. Yes, the aid as a testimony. Yeah, exactly. 13 Torahs. Sene'amar, as it says, Lokuach et sefer ha-Torah hazeh v'samtem oisoi mitzad aroin bris Hashem Elokechem v'hoyo shom b'chol ha'ed. Take this sefer Torah and place it next to the Aron of the covenant of God, your God, and it shall be there for you as a testimony. This is the Torah. Wahamiswa, the mitzvah, shehi perusha Torah, that's the explanation of the Torah. Loi kasava, he did not write that down. Elatziva ba lezekenim, v'liyeshua, v'leshar kol Yisrael. He did not write the explanations down. He gave it to the Zkenim, who gave it on to Joshua, who gave it on to Israel. Shneimar, it says, as kol hadavar asher anoki mitzaveh eschem, v'yisois yishmu la'asois, v'yisois evalam, v'loisig remenu. All of this which I have commanded you to do, you shall guard. Don't add, don't subtract. Nikras Torah Shabal Pei. And that's why it's called the oral Torah, because it wasn't actually written down by Moshe. It was taught orally from him to the elders to Yeshua, and Yeshua to the people. Umiyamos Moshe Rabbeini, alav shalom v'ad Rabbeinu Kadosh. And from the times of Moshe Rabbeinu until the time of Rabbeinu Kadosh, who was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the one who is described as the author of the Mishnahs. Although he didn't really author them, they were authored under his auspices. He was like he was the chief editor. Shehu Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, lo chibur shemalamdin oisoi berabim b'sor shebal pei. During that period of Moshe's writing down the written but not the oral Torah, until the time of Rabbi, where the oral Torah was written down for the first time in the form of the Mishnah, during that period of 1,500 years approximately, no work was written down as the oral Torah. It was all oral. In every generation, the head of the Sanhedrin or the Beis Din or the prophet in each generation, he wrote down for himself the Torah that he heard from his rabbis, and then he would teach it orally to the community. Each person would write down for himself according to his ability, strength. The explanations of the Torah and its laws as he heard from his rabbis. And there are also things that were novel, new teachings that were generated during each generation, but not necessarily things they heard from previous generations. It might have been gleaned through any of the 13 laws of exegesis, that means the ways of learning out from the Torah. And these new novel teachings were ratified by the Beis Din Gadol as being correct. And so things were until the times of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Shuhu Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Why did Rabbi do this? Why didn't just leave it the way things were? The number of Torah scholars was becoming reduced. And trials, tribulations, and suffering was increasing. And the empire of Rome was spreading across the world and gaining power. And the Jewish people were like being exiled and moving on the move, going from one place to the other in suffering servitude. When Rabbi saw this, he saw the Jewish people were confused, mixed up, going through difficult times. He was afraid that the Torah would be forgotten from Israel. Then he composed or put together the Mishnayos, to be in the hands of everyone, that they should be able to learn it quickly and they wouldn't forget. Yoshav kol yamav hu beis dino. He sat all of his days and he taught this Mishnah to the communities. There were the wise men of the generations who received from him. And there were together with them thousands and tens of thousands of other sages. His students also wrote books. Rav chiber sifra, v'sifri, lever lahudia ikre mishnah, Rabbi Chia chiber hatosefta. That was Rabbi Chia. He composed the Tosefta. Lever inyani ha-mishnah, v'chen Rabbi Hoshaya, v'bar kapara, chiber ha-braisos, lever divrei ha-mishnah, v'nizgalgel adavar kach, ad shebao ha-meroim, v'hayu lehem machloikes beferush ha-mishnayos. And this is what continued until a few generations later, in the period of the Amoras. There developed arguments, differences of opinion regarding the explanations of the Mishnahs, and the Toseftas, and the Braisos. Rabbi Yochanan ha-Talmud Yerushalmi be'Eretz Yisrael. So that Rabbi Yochanan composed the Talmud Yerushalmi in Israel. It was not composed, as far as I know, in Jerusalem, but rather in Tiberias. It's called Talmud Yerushalmi because it was written in Eretz Yisrael as opposed to Bavel, and having been written in Eretz Yisrael, they gave honor to the city of Yerushalayim. That should be called Talmud Yerushalmi, but it was really written in Tiberias, as far as I know. Then, after Churban Abayis, Bekeruv Shlosh Shana, Nikar Yerushalmi Bishvil Shahaya Dar Yerushalayim. Oh, he says here, the reason why it was called the Yerushalmi is because Rabbi Yochanan lived in Yerushalayim.
How much of the Yerushalmi Talmud agrees with the Babili.
They're pretty. I'm no expert on that, but it's my impression that they're pretty parallel.
How come we don't study it?
The Bavli is more extensive. We have more of the tractates existing than Yerushalmi. And the Bavli was composed by the sages in Babylon, who in those times the center of learning was there. So they were more authoritative. The majority of the Jewish people lived there, and it was like the learning center of the Jewish people at that time. So it became. Yeah. I want to do quickly the next paragraph. About 100 years afterwards, Rabbi Ashi Shaba Bavel, he was in Babylon, the Talmud of Bavli. Vinyan Shnei Talmudim, who Perush Divrei Mishnah. The intention of both Talmudim, whether it's Yerushalmi or Bavli, was again to explain the Mishnah, Uber Akamusa, and to clarify any inconsistencies. Udvarim Shenizchachu. B'chol Beis Din v'Beis Din miyumos Rabbeinu Kadosh v'ad Chibur Talmud, and to record any novel teachings that were derived from the Torah and the principle that was discussed earlier, but between the time of the Mishnah and the Gemara. That's also a reason why the Talmud was written down. U'mishnei Talmudim u'mina Tosefta u'mina Sifra u'mina Sifri u'mina Tosefta kulam yizbaron ha'asur v'mutar. All of these works of the Tannaitic period was to clarify what's permitted and what's not. Hatami v'tor, what's pure and what's not. Achiv v'patur, what is obligatory and what is not. Apostle v'kosher, that is disqualified and what is kosher. K'moshe heitiku ish mipi ish, as was copied one person from another. Ad mipi Moshe Rabbeinu zichrono livrocha misina, going back to Moshe at Sinai. Okay, let's stop here.